Hello, my knitting friends. I'm coming to you from a more casual setup, which is my couch today, because I will be talking to you about the project that I'm working on and almost done with, and that I wanted to kind of be in a more, casual setup. And I will attempt to knit as I talk, but I'm not very good at doing that, so I might not even knit much today. But I am knitting and almost done with this sock project, and I actually already finished one, so I'll show you in a second. I am making the Under the Quilt socks by Stone Knit. This still needs to be blocked. If you watch my video from the beginning of the year where I talk about the socks that I was really into that I would love to make this whole year, this was one of them and kind of the only one that I've been digging into, because this one was the kind of pattern that when you first run into it, you're just like, stop the presses, I want to make this. And in fact, I think when I first saw it, it wasn't even released yet, so I was kind of like eagerly expecting it, and then I bought it as soon as it came out from the designer Stone Knits. And I love all of her patterns, or sock patterns, because she does a lot of color work, and this is actually the first time I do color work for a sock, so it's kind of new to me. But I am a big color work fan, so I'm really enjoying doing color work for socks. It's kind of a different challenge because definitely harder to keep the tension straight. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about how this project's going and what I'm liking about it and everything that has to do with it as like a little pattern review. Because this year I'm trying like a no buy as much as I can for my yarn. I'm trying to knit from my stash when I can, which has proved to be hard. And actually I already broke it because I did buy some yarn yesterday, but it's the first one that I buy this whole year, and so I feel really good about myself about that. But it was a kind of yarn that you run into it, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And I kind of have this general rule that when I see a pattern or yarn that I like, just calls me, that I look at it and immediately I like it, I buy it, because I don't usually do that. It usually takes me a long time to make a decision about buying literally anything, like clothing and anything. So that's why I have this rule that if I ever do have this feeling, which is the same feeling that I had with this pattern, it's like, I love it, I have like no doubt, I want it, I make myself kind of like be okay with it and just buy it. So again, it doesn't happen that often, so it's a good rule for me. There was a little knitting meetup organized by Amy Makes, who was in New York City, and it was in Central Park, so I thought I'd join, and they brought some yarn from her shop, and again, I saw this sock yarn and I was like, this is gorgeous, and I love that it comes with like the little mini. And maybe because it has a mini and I've been doing color work, I was just like, yes, I see the vision with this one, so I got it. But otherwise, I use yarn from my stash for this Under the Quilt socks. I had this yarn that was like self-striping yarn that had two skeins, and one of them I used it to make like self-striping socks, and I actually just used one skein to do the entire sock. So I had another whole skein, and I didn't want to make like another pair of just self-striping socks. So I put it away and hope that I can find a colorwork sock. Like that was always my idea that would work with it, and I did eventually. When I saw this Under the Quilt, I was like, it would be so cool to use a colorwork that was self-striping to do kind of like the quilt look of the stars, and that's exactly what I did. So I used that, and I'm sorry, but I do not remember where this came from. I have no idea. Again, it's like deep in my stash. It's been years, but it was just self-striping yarn and sock yarn. And then the kind of base color that I used was also leftover sock yarn that I used for when I made a video where I show you how to knit socks. And this was from Hobby Yarn. So I only had one skein left over, and I was like, this is probably enough. It was not enough. This is how much left I have. I mean, this is what, like maybe 2 rows left, and here's where I'm at on my second sock. So I finished the leg, and I am down on the foot, and I did like one series of stars, quilted stars, and now I have to do 2 more to kind of match the original one. So I have to have 3 kind of rows of the color work and then finish off the sock, I know it's not gonna be enough. And so, I mean, I already, seeing that this was gonna happen, I actually use the self-striping yarn to do the heel. So this second pair is gonna be really wacky because I know at some point I'm gonna run out. I'm not gonna be able to do color work. I don't have another skein. I didn't want to buy just one skein to finish this sock because that kind of goes against the whole idea of using my stash. And then I would be like, well, if I'm already buying some, I might as well get some. And so it is a slippery slope. And I already did buy some sock yarn. So my plan at the moment is to just kind of finish this wacky sock, like just do the color work as long as I can, and then I'm just gonna keep knitting it like a regular sock. So this second pair is gonna look really weird. I know it. It's gonna be like all colorful and wacky and weird. But since it's on the foot, it's like it's after the leg, after the heel, I kind of don't care. I just want to finish it and like see how it comes out and kind of just like roll with it, and I'll keep it for myself and no one will see most of it, so who cares. So I have one perfect sock and then the other one will be weird. But anyway, I'm enjoying the pattern very much. At this point, I basically learned the colorwork chart. So I've been just kind of knitting without really looking at the pattern, and I love that feeling. I am, however, you know, it took me a while to do the second one because I always I do one and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do another sock, or I want to just switch it up and do a different kind of pattern. So it's definitely harder for me to just like keep knitting the same thing over and over. So I am finishing it, and I'm kind of like at this point where like I don't care anymore what it looks like. Just want to get it over with, and I want to use up my stash. And so I know it's gonna be like not as nice as I would have wanted them, but I think I will come back to this pattern again. I'm really enjoying it. I already bought more sock patterns from Stone Knits. I did get the one, I forget what it's called. I think it's like Fisher Folk set, and it comes with like fish and lobster, and I just love it. I don't know. I was like, I need lobsters in my socks. I just need lobsters in my sock. I don't know what to tell you. But for that, I'm definitely gonna have to get the right yarn because it has to be like red lobster. So even though I haven't finished this sock, I did want to show you because it is such a fun pattern, and it's one that I've been thinking about for a long time. And I do enjoy knitting socks a lot. I don't even know how I'm talking and knitting color work and the pointed needles right now. It's kind of crazy. But I really do enjoy knitting socks, even in the summer when it's hot. It's like, I guess because it's a smaller project, it doesn't make me as hot as like if I was making a blanket or a sweater. So I do love knitting socks in the summer and like cotton yarn. So now that I discover socks and colorwork, somehow I feel like the whole world opened up. Like I've seen them before, but I always thought it would be like kind of a little too complicated with like just knitting in such a small space with two colors and stuff. But I really, really do love color work, and I feel like it gives you the dopamine of making a big sweater, but like in a much smaller scale. So that's why I'm a big fan now of Stone Knits and her color work patterns, and just any other color work patterns for socks. So I'm excited to use other sock yarn that I have in projects similar, like this one. And I fully recommend. The pattern is perfect. I love that she gives you two charts. It's the same chart, but like the colors inverted, so that if you want to have like the darker color be the base or the darker color be the contrast color, you can choose which one makes more sense for your brain, and I love that. The instructions are super clear. The heel is made it's not the usual heel that I make for socks. It is short row heel. So I've done it before, but it's been a while. So the first time I did it, I felt like it really did feel like I had to concentrate and be like, math. But the second time it was easier, and I do like the look of it. The only thing I don't like as much for the short row heel is that there's always like a little bit of a hole where it connects no matter what I do. And so I usually go back and kind of try to feel that up. So if anybody has tips for that, they're welcome. But otherwise, I really like the look of it. And I actually kind of, even though it's like all wacky and weird with the version that I did, the self-striping yarn, it's kind of cool because you can see how it works. You can see like the way that it converges together. So I don't know, I don't mind it. I kind of now wish that I'd done that for both, but I am not gonna unravel that other one. Like, it's done. But anyhow, I think this is such a fun pattern and I totally recommend it. And then it's definitely not like an easy beginner one, especially if you've never knitted socks. If you've never knitted socks, you might want to start with like just one color, simple. Like, again, I recommend the video where I just walk you through making a regular sock pattern before you go into something like crazy like color work, because even for me, who I'm like very seasoned with color work, made a lot of color work stuff and a lot of socks before, it's still like I feel like my tension is not that great throughout, and I'm really looking forward to blocking this sock already. Like, I feel like on the second one it's a little better, but you can kind of see how it's pulling it some, and I want to see if blocking helps that, and if it doesn't, I'll still wear it. Like, it looks good on my foot, but it's definitely like a bigger challenge to figure that out. So if you're a beginner, I know these are beautiful, but don't try this yet. The other thing about the self color yarn is that I was a little bit annoyed that I had it in my head that it would be so great if each kind of color made one of the kind of quilt star rows, and I kind of knew that probably wouldn't happen. And then I was like, well, maybe it'll make like two colors will make one, and that looks cool. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it turns out that two colors, it would be like half and half, and I love when it looked like that. But sometimes it wouldn't, and because the color is not super consistent, so I ended up with like some star quilts with like 3 colors and with 2, and it's a little wacky. But I like it. Like, in the end, I could have like manipulated it and like cut the yarn and made it look the way I originally intended. But I like kind of like the craziness of it and just like serendipity of the way it looks, and I kind of like the randomness of it, and just letting it do whatever it would do, and have like 2 socks that were not even the same because the colors keep changing. And I don't know, it just feels fun and playful, and not, it's nice to just let go a little bit and not have as much control for once. So I actually enjoy that part. So if you have self-striping yarn, I do recommend trying it for a pattern like this, where it gives you a little bit more levity and like lets you just play. And that is what this pattern was, and I hope I will finish very soon. And when I do, I'll post a picture probably of the 2 of them together, the wacky version, the wacky one and the other one, and I guess I will always know which one's the left and which one's the right, because they will not look the same. And after this, I think I'm gonna probably go look for my lobster sock yarn. I hope you enjoyed this video and you like sitting with me knitting, even though I couldn't really knit and talk much because it's not easy. But please make sure to subscribe if you want to watch more pattern reviews for patterns that I am trying or patterns that I'm creating. And otherwise, I hope you're having a great summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And happy knitting!